Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning in to AMTV Alternative Media Television. Serial killer and white supremacist Joseph Paul Franklin was murdered this morning, Wednesday, November 20th, by the state of Missouri via lethal injection. Now, before I get into today's content, I want to preface this video with saying I do not support anything Joseph Paul Franklin is or was about. I do not support any of his viewpoints. I think that he was a morally reprehensible individual on every level. But there kind of lies something that I want to defend today, here via AMTV, and with you, our loyal viewer. You know, I think that Joseph Paul Franklin kind of had man, and when I say man, I mean humanity pegged. He targeted people very hatefully, said that he was changed by the book that Adolf Hitler wrote, Mein Kampf, that it changed him in a way that he felt that he was at war, that he felt that not only the white man was being attacked, but that our society was really deteriorating, that our society in and of itself was morally reprehensible. He targeted civil rights leaders. He targeted people like Larry Flynt of Hustler magazine. That's probably what he's most well known for. But was Joseph Paul Franklin right about our society? Was he right in thinking that America and that our system really is morally reprehensible? Let me give you a specific example. People think that executing, murdering Joseph Paul Franklin was a good thing today. In fact, I can already see Anderson Cooper, on camera. A white supremacist hate person was murdered, blah, blah, blah. America thinks that this is a good thing to kill. But how is Joseph Paul Franklin any different from the president? And let me give you a specific example. The President of the United States, your president, President Barack Obama, has murdered, based on reports, anywhere from 300 to 400 people on his kill list since he took office in 2008. That's almost 400 people that we know about. I mean, talk about serially killing other people. And you see, Joseph targeted people out of hate. He targeted people that he didn't like, what he viewed to be morally corrupt. But was Joseph Paul Franklin pointing something out to us? Because how is killing any different when it's done from the executive level? When the President of the United States has a kill list, or let's say invades a foreign country, or continues wars overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and murders countless people, men, women, and children, how is that any better than Joseph Paul Franklin? How is that any different? Is murder not murder? And you see, isn't our society kind of ridiculous that we think that lethal injection by putting a chemical into somebody's arm, that that's somehow more humane? That's a more humane way to die? Yet no one really knows that for sure, because no one's actually been around long enough or has lived to tell the tale of what it feels like to die via chemicals seeping into your bloodstream and shutting down your central nervous system and ultimately your beating heart. Nobody knows that. I think that Joseph Paul Franklin actually had our society pegged. He knew something that a lot of people really don't. It's kind of like the homeless guy on the street that's crazy but is actually super intelligent. He just can't handle real society. He can't handle the grid system. He can't handle the structure that's been laid out in front of him. So instead of actually excelling in it, which he would be more than capable of doing, he's left to really suffer on the streets. Really a crazy, psychotic system. No different in its psychosis, in my opinion, than the hateful mind of Joseph Paul Franklin. Why do Americans think that it's any different when the president kills somebody? Again, that tally is in the 300 to 400 range of the deaths that we know about, versus Joseph Paul Franklin. How is that any different? Both are serial killers. Both are targeting other groups of people for a reason. And they're killing others to achieve a political objective. And so, there's probably a lot of people out there that won't defend Joseph Paul Franklin, and I'm not defending his actions at all. Again, I think he's a psychopath. He probably deserved to die, and what he did and who he was and what he stood for was morally reprehensible. But you know what is also morally reprehensible? Our government, this country, our president, and the mentality that it's okay to kill as long as it's coming from a man in a suit and a tie. This is the America we now live in. We live in a morally reprehensible society. And Joseph Paul Franklin knew this. He pointed it out to us. So if there's maybe a silver lining here, or something that we can learn from the tragedy and from this event, is that maybe Joseph Paul Franklin was trying to tell us something. Maybe he was trying to point something out.